we see Paul sometime talking to Jews. He was sent to the Gentiles, and he preached only to the Gentiles for the first 3 years. But we see him from time to time talking with the Jews also.
Grant, that's not true what you're saying. I got a verse I want to read. First thing you said wasn't true. You said you said that you can't become a Jew. You got to be born a Jew. That's what you said, right?
Can a zebra change his stripes? Nope.
Can a zebra change his stripes after I show you this? All right.
But we argue about that all night, man. I don't even get into those debates.
Okay. Don't worry. I got you. I ain't gonna
I don't even get into that.
But now, Golden, what script you had? Because, yeah, Mr. LeGrand, I say we need some understanding of this because it's deep.
All right, I got you.
Yeah, that concept of inclusion only came when white folks, the Romans.
Let's see what the scripture say. LeGrand.
Go ahead. I know what it say already.
Hell, he ain't even read it yet.
Yeah, my boy LeGrand on one. He gonna light it up.
I already know.
Go ahead, Golden.
Turn to the book of Esther, 8:17.
Oh, they sleep on Esther.
Watch this.
That's old.
That's old. Persian captivity.
And in every province and in every city, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, the Jews had joy and gladness, a feast and a good day. And many of the people of the land became Jews.
Actually, all 127 providence flipped Jews that day.
For the fear of the Jews fell upon them.
That's a dagger right
Say that again.
Okay, I'll read it again.
That's that last part.
That's a dagger right there, man.
Yeah, but it's speaking yourself, though. So read it again.
No. He just stuck with that one. That one hurt.
And in every province and in every city, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, the Jews had joy and gladness, a feast and a good day. And many of the people of the land became Jews, for the fear of the Jews fell upon them.
Okay, so they became Jews because the fear of the Jews fell upon them, which means
they became Jews. That's what it means.
No.
Nah, let the friend talk. Hold on.
Nah, he can't get out of that one.
Let the friend talk.
Which means that black people, I'll give you an example today. Certain black people that was living amongst the clan, they didn't want to be themselves. They want to be like white folks because they fear white folks. What they're saying there is that these people were fearful of Jews and the God of the Jews. They bowed down and succumbed to Jews and the Jews' God.
No, I understand totally what you're saying, but what he just read, not only people, it was 127 providence. That's a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, all of them were scared of the Jews and their gods, so they said, hell, oh Lord, let me stop worshiping these pagan gods.
But notice they ain't had no doctrine of uncircumcision. They just feared the Most High and feared the people.
They feared the people.
Just like the people of Nineveh turned to the Most High.
He coming today.
But you gotta have more. You gotta have something not so ambiguous. That's not evidence that these people became Jews.
You just don't want to
see what you're saying.
I want you to explain this. I want you to explain this.
One mic, y'all, because it's like, go ahead, Mike.
Be fair. Let's be fair.
Because I see where he's going with it, but Golden coming out with straight daggers, and he bringing.
Oh, Golden coming out with a butter knife. He coming out with a butter knife, man. He can't cut somebody with a butter knife.
Butter knife still cut too. The butter knife's cut too.
You can't cut with a spoon. A spoon.
I can't.
You got to come with something that's not ambiguous, that you have to strain the reason out of it in order to get what you want to mean out of it. You got to come with something that's not ambiguous, that you have to strain the reason out of it in order to get what you want to mean out of it. You got to come with something that's not ambiguous, that you have to strain the reason out of it in order to get what you want to mean out of it.
But I mean, that was pretty plain.
Yeah, he said the people were scared. He said the people were scared, so they submitted themselves to the God of Abraham.
They flipped from GD to BD real quick.
Right. But they didn't become part of God's covenant. Only God can select who's going to be part of his covenant. God didn't even give Abraham nor Isaac the power and authority to select which child would inherit the covenant promise.
How you know?
So how in the world
How
are these pagans? I can show you. How are these pagans going to elect themselves unilaterally, place themselves within God's covenant when God didn't even allow Abraham or Isaac to select which child would be the heir that would inherit the covenant?
Bring it on, Grant.
So and when you think about it, you can see how ridiculous your proposition is. If God did not allow Abraham to select Ishmael, who Abraham
It was a predestination. It was like a predestination.
No, let me tell you. Abraham wanted Ishmael to be the
Right.
promised
Because
seed
he's his
that
oldest,
would inherit the covenant. He had an argument with God. God said no.
I
He
can't
said
argue
no.
with you on that
All
one.
right,
Look,
okay, I'm going for it. I'm going for it. Now, the next child of Abraham's grandchild, God selected Jacob over Esau before the boys were born. So Isaac didn't even have a choice of who was going to be the covenant heir that would inherit the covenant promises. That was something that was within the exclusive providence of God. So now that God has shown you, men are not allowed to determine who is going to be the promised seed to inherit his covenant promises. Now, look at what you're trying to say. Some pagans out here who fear God are now able to insert themselves into God's covenant.
Yeah, that ain't right.
Even in the face of the fact that God exclusively excluded them. So you see how that don't make sense? Now these people, because they fear God, they are able to modify God's covenant and insert themselves into God's covenant as make themselves covenant heirs. When Ishmael nor Esau couldn't do that.
Hey, bro, I 1,000% agree, but I think the brother ran from you. That's just my personal opinion, man. You was coming. No, I'm serious. He started coming with the history. He started dropping the history, and I just seen him vanish away. I don't know where he went.
He about to make a room, Baller Grant.
He wanted